Hello, how are you? I have come before you today to share another message that has entered my awareness, and yeah, that message has a lot to do with awareness and the different modes of awareness that we find ourselves in. Um, yeah, and it's a spectrum, right? There's all different levels of perceiving your conscious reality, and you could be at any one of those levels or anywhere between them. It's yeah, it's deep and multifaceted. So it stays interesting, right? Because there's a million different ways you can look at any one kind of situation. So this came about because my boyfriend and I, we took our dog Mezzy for a walk earlier today at the park, and nice peaceful walk. And I was just kind of looking around, and I was in this headspace of like being a little bit detached from the current situation, but also enjoying it, being kind of immersed in it. And I was like, this is an interesting level of awareness to be in. And I was thinking to myself, is there a message here? Is there something like speaking to me right now? And almost immediately, that little, you know, still small voice inside kind of replied, "There's always a message. There's always something to pick up on." And if you're not seeing it, you're not hearing it, you're not feeling it, then maybe it requires a shift in your mode of perception and your level of awareness. Yeah, because sometimes in order to pick up on the subtle things that are around, we kind of have to detach ourselves a little bit, or you have to do the other thing. You have to fully immerse yourself in the current experience and then reflect on it later. Yeah, so there's a bunch of different modalities to experiencing everything, right? So the main message I was getting here is to be aware of your awareness. Yeah, very, very meta. Yeah, it's a metaphysical message for sure. What type, what mode, what flavor, what lens of awareness are you currently using? Is it the one that is benefiting you in your present situation? Um, yeah, we're always getting messages, right? Our eyes are getting visual messages, our ears are getting auditory messages, our body is getting sensations that we're picking up on, subtle vibrations. Yeah, everything in a way is a message, right? The interface between what you are and what everything else is is something to think about. It gets very trippy the more I think about it, right? Um, because there's definitely this interplay of, you know, what is outside entering inside and creating, different thoughts, feelings, um, sensations within you, and then the way that you mix those things can provide different insights, different levels of detail into different things. Yeah, and so I also picked up on something else. I have this whole journal here full of notes. Um, this was my first entry for the month of August. Happy August, everyone, if you're watching this in August. If not, happy wherever you find yourself. Um, but yeah, there was a unifying message that came through, and it's that, that I am, kind of the Aries vibe. Um, I am, it is, or just presence in general. Your presence and the presence of the things around you are chock full of messages, right? Because people can pick up on your energy, you can pick up on other people's energy, you can pick up on the energy of a room, of the environment. It's like, going from inside a stuffy room and then walking outside and feeling lighter just because of the expansiveness around you. Those kinds of things. So presence, yeah, it has a lot to do with awareness, right? Because in order to live the reality that you truly want to be living, you have to enter into a presence that matches that level of reality. Yeah, which is not, easier said than done, right? It takes a lot of work, takes a lot of reflection, a lot of cleaning out the closet, a lot of looking at the parts of you that you have tucked away, your shadow, pulling out all the things that you've been ignoring. And yeah, it's hard work, and it takes a while. You have to trust the process. So yeah, let's see. I had written down a couple things here I wanted to touch on. Oh yeah, another message that came through. If you do find yourself trying to embody a new level of presence, and there are a lot of things that are unclear that you feel are holding you back, reflection, yeah. And I wrote down, when things are dark and unclear, try shining a light on them. And that light is a metaphor for consciousness, right? And if you're trying to shine a light on something with consciousness that is unconscious, the only way to do that really is to go deep within. And there are a couple different ways. Reflection, so journaling, talking to yourself, audio diaries, however you want to do it. There's tons of different methods of reflecting. Meditation is a huge one that has done wonders for me. I love it. I've worked it into my daily routine now. And it, sitting in like non-judgment of your thoughts. Because for me, some people say like, oh, you need to quiet your thoughts when you're meditating. But for me, they never really go away unless I get really deep into it to the point where I'm like almost, on the verge of sleep. But just being patient with yourself, and when the thoughts come up, don't judge them, just kind of let them be, and don't hold on to them either. Just let them go and let the next one come in. And same thing, don't hold on to it. Just, sometimes your mind gets stuck on it, and you have to have that detachment to remind yourself, okay, move on. Like, let this one go. Just, take a deep breath. Imagine it blowing away with the wind, something. Visualization is another a really big one that you can use just when you're meditating, just kind of like trying to see what images come to you when your eyes are closed, and really reflecting on those images and what they mean to you. Actively participating in your experiences, so this is the other side of that. Instead of detaching yourself from your experiences, just fully immersing yourself in them, kind of forgetting yourself in a way, and like really becoming part of your environment and the current thing that's happening, and then reflecting on that later whenever you have time to rest. And then also initiating experiences, because sometimes we have to do that. If you never go outside, or you never go for a walk, or you never reach out to your friends or whatever, they might not reach out to you for a while. You kind of have to start things sometimes. Yeah. Yes. All right. Yeah, so before I get into the next section of this, let's pull some tarot cards and see what else we can get, what insights we can get into this line of thought of the being aware of awareness, of your level of awareness, of your mode of awareness. Saw the Four of Cups in the shuffle. That card is very much about being aware of what is around you, because it's kind of like this disembodied hand offering a cup to someone who looks like maybe they're meditating or just thinking really deeply underneath a tree, and they don't really seem to be aware of the cup, or they're ignoring it. Either way, yeah, definitely a card of awareness. All right, let's see what comes up here. Okay. Oh, all right. Wow, we got the Queen of Cups. Yeah. So she is doing some deep reflection here. She's holding this object, which I have seen some people say is kind of like the Ark of the Covenant. If you're familiar with that from Christianity, basically a holy object that kind of houses the Holy Spirit. Either way, it's a mystical object, and she is staring intently at it, holding it carefully in her hands. And yeah, she's known as the psychic queen of the deck, right? She's very tapped into her feelings and intuitions. So yeah, this once again, this is kind of, I don't know, I feel like this is the perfect card for what I've been talking about. It's about that level of awareness that you are aware of, and tapping into those different levels that are available to you at different times. Excuse me. Yeah. Let's see. On the bottom here, we have the Page of Swords. So this is fresh, new energy. It's also about communication. Swords are air energy, and pages are all about messages. So, yeah, we've got, messages coming in, new messages always bombarding us, right? And then this kind of like deep immersion, but also detachment from the experience. It could go either way, or you could even strike a balance. Can you hold both mental states at the same time? Can you be completely immersed in an experience, but also be somewhat detached and kind of like processing it on a metaphysical level of like, what are the archetypal energies at play right now? How is this story playing out on a higher level than, this physical realm down here? Yeah, interesting. I'm gonna give one more shuffle and see what comes out. Oh, okay. So we have, let me censor this, the Star. We have the Ace of Cups. And we have the King of Swords. King of Swords been coming up a lot for me lately. Yeah. So the Star, I've never really thought about it this way, but she is completely immersed in her environment, right? Like there is nothing between her and the environment. She is as naked as the day she was born. And yeah, there, it doesn't get much more intimate than that when immersing yourself into something fully. The Ace of Cups is often related to the heart and kind of like having this overflow. And actually, funny enough, talking about immersion, this bird is like immersing itself. It's diving into the cup, right? And it's bringing this gift with it. Yeah, so another card of immersion. And then kind of this like very detached energy, right? So paternal energy, dads or fathers are often, they're often not there, not around, to varying degrees for different people. But that's kind of the cultural story for masculine energy these days, is that fathers can be very detached. Yeah, they can be very cold. This is not always the case for everyone, but in general, that is kind of how it is seen at large. At least where I'm from, United States, North America. So yeah, in this part of the world, your mileage may vary, like I said, but that's what I'm getting from this card. And he's sitting on this throne, kind of like on top of the world, all by himself. He's obviously very intelligent and has a lot of power. Yeah, so this is kind of that other mode. Instead of being like fully immersed in the world, he's like elevated above it and kind of analyzing and processing the messages that are coming through. So we have both modalities at work here with these cards. Here, I'm going to try to just so with the Star and the King of Swords, I would say this is the like being completely immersed in your reality, and this is the kind of like a little bit of kind of a cold detachment from it. And then the Ace of Cups, I think, is also kind of talking about that immersion, but also I feel like there's something else here. There's something else. I'm not quite seeing it yet, but because there's water within the cup, right? But there's also this overflow, these like fountains, these streams coming out of the cup. So the cup is, in this image, the cup is actively receiving and giving at the same time. And that's actually something I wrote down in my notes regarding the heart. As I said, the Ace of Cups is often associated with the heart space. So I kind of drew that down here. There's this little image of the heart, and it's open in the center, and there's energy flowing into it and out it. It's almost like the heart is like a vehicle, and it's moving through this energy, right? And I wrote, try to keep your heart open. Ask yourself, how open is my heart right now? And that's kind of a question you can ask yourself in any experience, because when you're blocking yourself off, you're preventing the flow of energy, right? You're preventing yourself from receiving the experience. And that's something I've learned very recently, because I've never really been great at completely immersing myself in my reality, but I'm learning. Yeah, and so that's another thing that's coming through here. I wrote it, embrace change. Yeah, and I've got these hands kind of open and the sky parting here, sun shining through, just how I was feeling it. Yeah, you have to embrace your reality, and you also have to examine your reality. And that, I believe, is how you kind of spiral up into new dimensions of yourself. How you expand your world, right? And it takes time. It takes a lot of time. And it's hard work. But it can also be fun, which is the other thing I've learned recently, is that you can have fun with all of this. Yeah, so last thing I'll say on the bottom, this Two of Swords is speaking to me as well, because she's kind of like, she's holding these two messages, right? The swords here, but she's like crossing them over her heart, and then she's also blindfolded. So she's going within, but she's like aware of the messages in her external environment. And it's not like, sometimes this is seen as like an either or card, like you're deciding between two things, but I think what it's really about is like the reconciliation of these two things. Like how can you combine these two messages in order to like open yourself up to other possibilities? Like maybe these are not the only two things that are available to you. And you know, the Roman numeral 2, the Roman numeral 2 kind of looks like a gateway, doesn't it, right? Like you have these two pillars and then the space in between. So, you know, instead of like clinging to one pillar or the other, why not go in between to something new, to like a whole nother space that you didn't even realize was there before? And that kind of goes again to that like mode of perception, right? Yeah. So, last thing I'll say, and it's just something I underlined, is that you know, you can expand your experience by interacting with it on multiple dimensions. So that would be physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, you know. So there's 4. There's probably more that I'm just not aware of at the time, or are just not occurring to me right now. If you can think of more, put them in the comments. But yeah, so there's, you know, are you able to be aware of multiple dimensions for the experience you're having at any given time? If you're not, how can you become aware of them? How can you practice that? You know, my suggestions again would be journaling, meditation, and deeply immersing yourself into the experiences of your life. So yeah, I think that's all I have. Thank you for hearing me out. If you've made it this far, yeah, look forward to sharing more with you. And take care of yourself. Keep your heart open.